Oh, good.
We're going chasing.
Hello there, and welcome to...
We're going chasing.
Hello, now, and welcome to...
We're going chasing.
Now, we have a lot on the agenda, lads, so we'll cut the chase and get straight down to the business.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of We're Going Chasing. And Cillian, this is our first preview show of the year. Those who have been listening to the podcast the last week or so and following us on social media will know that we were in New York. What a time we had over there.
Yeah, some crack now. Absolutely depressed to be home out of it. I just stayed out there if I could, you know. It's some city, and like the American Grand National Day in itself, like the day out in Far Hills, it's very different to the racecourse experience in Ireland or England. Anyone that I've been to anyway, it's basically like a point to point, except they have a load of tents, and then you have the tailgating, so they pull up their big trucks and they've bars out the back of it, and they bring out barbecues, and they get absolutely obliterated drunk over there. And I'd say, I was talking to someone and she said well, one of her friends had been going for years, and it was only the fourth year she was there that she realized there was horses running. So she thought it was just a day out in a field, like where they got hammered. Yeah. So she didn't even know there was racing. But it's gone from strength to strength the last couple of years. Like Gordon sending over loads there. Obviously, he had the treble the last day. Yeah. So that was a serious touch to land there. So
yeah. It was surprising that one of the two Irish horses didn't win the American Grand National. I would have thought that it would be between Seddon there and Salvador Ziggy, but just go show they might have some sort of decent horses over there.
Yeah, well, the horse that won it used to be trained by Donald McCain, so he wouldn't be a total shitter. But like, you know, the pity Salvador Ziggy didn't win it, to be honest. I know it would have been some for Gordon to get the four-timer, like.
Yeah, it would have put the icing on the cake. But look, such is the way of life. Are you going racing over the weekend?
Yeah, I'll probably go to Galway on Sunday.
Okay.
So that'll be about it, I'd say. You're off to Old Trafford?
Off to Old Trafford, yeah.
Punishment.
Yeah, Saturday morning off, 2 nights there, so it'll be savage. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'd say you'll be looking forward to the result, though.
Oh, I know, yeah, that'll be the day.
The sky blue of City here.
That's all. That's always the worry. Look, we'll get straight into it. The way we're going to do it is we'll run through the cards relatively briefly, flag a few nice entries if there's a horse there in a maiden or a horse making a debut over fences. You know, we'll chat briefly about that and put up any fancies we have for each meeting. So on the agenda for the preview is Cheltenham on Friday, so today. Saturday, we've Galway and Cheltenham. Sunday, Galway, Wexford and Aintree. And then on Monday, we've a couple of nice races at Wexford as well. Straight into Cheltenham on Friday. The first one that stands off the pitch to me is my mate Mozzie. Not really a betting proposition, but interesting that he's been sent over there. He's 4-6 at the moment. His main danger would be Jetronic, who looks a very interesting type for Paul Nicholls, only a 4-year-old, and run straight into chasing, straight over fences. No hurdle runs for Paul Nicholls. So you'd imagine that he must have a fair bit of confidence behind that horse, and it'll be interesting to see what level of opposition that will bring to my mate Mozzie. The other one interested in it is Zarakan. 5 runs over fences, 4 wins, but it's a step up in class and giving away weight as well. So I'd be surprised if Al Zarakan was to get in contention there. We have a decent novices hurdle race then as well with Encanto Bruno, Tagman and Mel Monroe all travelling over from Ireland. John McConnell has a fair scatter of horses there over the course of the weekend, and Henry probably has more than you'd usually expect at a meeting like this as well. You've the grade 2 novices hurdle, looks quite weak to my eye. Looks a very weak grade 2. So yeah, Willie the Builder has some very nice form, bumper form in Ireland, was behind Brighter Days Ahead, and second in a bumper punch this town as well late last year. Won on hurdles debut by 12 lengths for the Skeltons. And considering it's a weak race, I think Willie the Builder could be up to winning that race. Did you have any fancies there for Cheltenham on Friday, Cillian?
Yeah, does the Pope say Mass? I do, of course. I'm taking you on in the grade two. I think it's a grade two in name only. With Peter Vahey's horse. Excuse me, a Toto two. Only made his racecourse debut in Galway at the festival on I think it was the Saturday. He's beaten by a really nice horse of Willie's called You Ought to Know. I know I think he's about a 20s shot for a Supreme. He looked a really good horse. And he was very impressive that day. But Toto too ran a good race in behind. Then he went to Killarney and won his bumper, beating another decent bumper horse of Andy Slattery's, Royal Hollow. So that had a nice bit of bumper form there. And then about a month ago he went to Navan. You were probably there the same day. When he won a maiden hurdle, he beat a horse of Barry Connell's by 6 lengths fairly cosily. Looks a really nice prospect to go hurdling, and like Peter Vahey's no man to shy away from a challenge. Going over to Cheltenham for what looks a winnable enough race. Like I know you fancy the Skeleton horse, and I think that
Really
active authority for Ollie Murphy it'll be a danger too. But to be honest, I think Toto too will take a serious beating there.
Yeah.
So that's the first one, and then in the 4:30 on Friday, the amateur jockeys handicap chase. It's one of Gordon's. His name is Arctic Ambition. I think he's about 10 to 1. Just trying to find the price here. Yeah, he's on to 10 to 1. He has Harry Swan is on board. I think that's a huge plus. He's really a consistent horse. Seems to just run his race every day he goes out. Finds it a small bit difficult to win races maybe, but I do think he's still potentially well handicapped. I think he's running off 119, so £3 over his Irish mark, which is lenient enough, I suppose. He's a horse that when he went to Gardens from Robert Tyner last year, he seemed to get a nice bit of improvement out of him. I think I remember backing him. We were in Downroyal the same day last year for the grade one meeting, and he was third behind final orders and a handicap that day. But I think he's won 3 or 4 times since. It sort of took him till sort of this summer to start winning races. He won in Kilbeggan, won in Limerick, won in Ballinrobe. He did good second over in Cartmel as well to a JP Gamble off 118, a handicap chase. But yeah, I think that this is the kind of race that like at 10 to 1, I'd say he'll definitely hit the frame anyway. So he's won. And then the last one is Angel's Breath. Again, probably a horse that he's had his share of difficulties, but like he went off 6 to 1 in the Supreme in 2019, Classical Dreams won. Really, really nice horse. He's only had 2 runs for his current yard. He's with Sam Thomas now, and like as we know, Sam Thomas, he'd win with the stable Cat at this stage. I think he's 4 or 5 winners the last couple of weeks from as many runners nearly. I think he'd only 1 horse that got beat. So he couldn't be in better form. The Yard's in great form. I think he'll take a fair bit of beating. I'm just trying to get the price here. I think he's 13 to 2 in that 2 mile 4 race. And like Sam Thomas won races with similar types in Chepstow and Fosslas as well, Al Dancer and can't think of the name of the other one, but he's sort of that sort of profile as well, and he's top weight like Al Dancer was too that day. So 13 to 2 again, I'd say he's definitely going to hit the frame.
Okay, very good. And there's one other final horse that I quite like there. And to be honest, he was brought to my attention by somebody else on Twitter. Tom Lloyd is his name, and we'll stick the tweet up here on screen for you to see. The final race, Serious Operator for Lucinda Russell last year. And the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I don't have the tweet in front of me now. The 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, I think won. Had a look at it there. He's got a wind operation too. He goes on unbelievably well fresh, and he's 10 to 1. So hat tip to Tom Lloyd for flagging that one with us, and I'll stick the tweet up there for anybody who wants to have a read at it. That brings us on then to Cheltenham again on Saturday, Killian. In the first, we have a 2 mile handicap chase. Henry sends over Dancing on My Own. He beat Douglas Talking at Aintree, who's a horse that I really like, and beat him nicely that day. he's one that I think again at 8 or 10 to 1 is a very fair price here. Haddox Desabo is a good favourite, all right. But 10 to 1 dancing on my own. You know, I think it's fair.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he'll run a good race, but I'd imagine his year will be geared around Aintree again, and the same race he's won the last couple of years. So, I'd say he's probably going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if he throws in a couple of below par runs before he goes back to Aintree. I know he's going to be 10, but I think that the year might be revolved around that again. Yeah, I really like Haddock Desabo. I think he's some price at threes, or whatever he is there now, as when this comes out. But yeah, I think he's an improving horse. Obviously only exposed. He has only had the 4 starts over fences, two wins and a second, and unseated then in Newton Abbott before that. But a very likely raced horse since he's came over to the UK. He's only had 6 runs for Garrymore, so I think there's a bit to come with him yet. I know he got £10 hike for his win in Warwick in January, but I'd say he's a serious chance of winning that tomorrow or Saturday.
Yeah, one of the main attractions there then on Saturday is obviously Flooring Porter making his debut over fences. It's a very small field, and he's actually getting weight from 2 of the 3 horses in the field. We've all been caught. Looks the main danger really when you take the weights into account, and the fact that he's a young and improving horse who did reasonably well last year. But look, it would be a very big surprise if Flooring Porter wasn't to win. You know, and it's a very nice introduction to fences for him as well. You know, 4-runner race there at Cheltenham. You know, getting weight, great starting point for him. There's a lot of handicaps on the card, Killian. Was there anything else to cut your eye there?
Not really. Just going back to the Flooring Porter race, like I was shocked when I heard he was going over fences. Like, it makes no sense really to me. They've found a fairly good starting point from, like, if he can't win this, getting 8 off Toss again, who's a 140, and probably that's the height he will be. I can't see him. Maybe he'll improve another couple of pounds, but I can't see him being a 150 horse. And then Broadway Boy, who's actually a very nice horse as well, and an improving horse, but he's given £5 to Flooring Porter. Like, if he can't beat, we've all been caught off level weights, who he's £20 superior of over hurdles. Like, he's not going to be near winning a Grade 1 as a novice chaser. Whereas, like, he still ran a huge race in the Stayers hurdle. He was 4th last year. I know he's probably, like, I couldn't see him winning the Stayers hurdle again in a month of Sundays, just with the few horses that are all definitely better than him at this stage of his career. But yeah, I was surprised, but like, I wouldn't be so sure he'll take defenses either. Like, the way he jumps the hurdle wouldn't really say, like, oh, he's definitely going to be a better chaser, whereas we've all been caught could definitely be a stone better over fences. But whether that'll be good enough to beat Flooring Porter or not, I don't know.
Yeah, very, very fair point. On to Galway on Saturday. Not a great card really, if we're calling a spade a spade. It's I suppose it's just we're small bit early still here in Ireland. And coincidentally we were speaking about it only a couple of days ago, Killian. This weekend in England and the UK or whatever should really be earmarked as the return of the jumps, because they're good cards at Cheltenham, and then you have Aintree there as well.
Yeah.
Both the main tracks this weekend should be the return of the jumps. In the UK, you know. But Galway on Saturday, Killian, one thing that caught my eye, Adrian Heskin has one ride, snow punt in the Cara Boyle maiden hurdle for Brendan Walsh. I found that was interesting. There's no farm really there to be going off or anything like that, but just one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I'd say he's probably struggling maybe a small bit to get rides in Ireland since he's moved back. But yeah, I think he was saying after he won a Magical Zoe in Goran that he's just trying to build back up relationships with trainers. He's sort of starting from the bottom again. But he's a very good rider, and he's ridden a lot of winners, so he will be useful to trainers.
It's surprising that he hasn't picked up a bit more since he's come back. You know, but I suppose he is starting from the bottom again, and people have relationships with different trainers and whatnot.
That's it, yeah. And like, Ireland's obviously that's smaller than the UK, so it's not as big a market. So like, a lot of the big trainers all have their own stable jockeys, so it's just a question trying to pick up the odd spare. I'd say you get a lot of rides off Henry this year.
Yeah,
considering he has that relationship with Magical Zoe. But
yeah.
I think he might struggle a while for. Hopefully, when he gets a bit busier, then we'll start seeing picking up a few rides. I found Gabby's Cross in the 417. The handicap hurdle was a bit interesting. Like he's way below his chase mark. He's off 120. Mikey O'Connor is riding. He's taken off 3. Like you wouldn't be surprised if he ran a good race off a pretty lower mark over hurdles. I actually can't really recall him as much of a hurdler. He was obviously limited enough, but he's a far better chaser. But it's probably might just be a pipe opener for other other plans they have down the line with him. But maybe the Tri-Town or something. But yeah, he could be one to cash in on the hurdle mark there. I know Christian Williams has won in the race as well. Lord Snooty, a rare raider, especially to Galway. Like he's coming a long way for that. So that's an interesting one. We just see what price he goes up at, because like no more than backing Irish Raiders over in the UK. Like there's a lot to be said for backing UK horses that come here.
Yeah, very true, because they are few and far between. Do you have anything else for Galway on Saturday, Killian, or we move on to Galway on Sunday?
No, I'm all good.
Onto Galway on Sunday. The main attraction here, again, we're still only warming up, but we have a 2 mile 6 furlong beginners chase, and we don't have declarations for it at this stage as well, which is a pity. But Affordale Fury is entered in it. And Favori de Champdou. So if you got 2 of them, you'd have a nice race. Because Favori shut out de Champdou while he was a bit below the other 2 aforementioned horses last year hurdling. Big Jigginstown horse. He looks as if he'll take to a fence and he'll improve for it. So that'll be the race that I'm most looking forward to, really.
Yeah,
based off the entries.
I think Sander Clegane it'll definitely be declared in Galway because he's in Wexford on Monday, but he's number 4. It's a max of 12, and he's number 17, so he needs 5 to come out. To get in Wexford on Monday, so he'll definitely be declared in Galway. And then it's just a question of if he gets, they'll know then Saturday morning if he's able to get into Wexford on Monday, and if they're obviously not going to drive from Wexford to Galway with Sander Clegane if possible, when they can get a race on their own front doorstep, and it's going to be a similar ground. I know it's 2 miles over,
2 miles,
over Wexford, but I don't think that'd bother them. I'd say they just want to get a run in. To be honest.
Yeah, and that's a hot race too. At Wexford on Monday, we'll speak about it anyway when we get there based off entries.
Yeah.
Wexford then on Sunday. On Tubber is the one that stands off the page there, Killian. We obviously had Rob Atchison of Robcore on with us a couple of weeks ago now at this stage, and once we asked him about on Tubber, like, he just lit up, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He seems to be a horse they're really excited about. So that's a 2 mile maiden hurdle. It's going to be very soft ground. It's going to be heavy ground down in Wexford. So I'd imagine that'd suit him. I know there's 2 that are number 14 and 19 on the ballot. It's actually max 11 as well, so it's actually a very small race. I suppose Wexford's a very tight track. There's probably not scope to have these big fields like you'd have in Punchestown and the Maiden, but the Irish Panther for the Mulrynes and Eddie O'Grady he's number 14. Then Mahon's Way for Henry is number 19, so they're probably not going to get in. You see these maidens this time of year, everyone wants to get their horses out, and I'd say, just looking at the ballots, it's interesting enough, like that. Like, there's so many entered in all these maiden hurdles. But there's one actually on the card in Wexford that I really like. Slane Hill for Barry Connell. I think he's a horse that definitely has scope to improve off 123. He's only made one chase start, and it was a winning one. And he's straight into handicaps here. The worry would be, I suppose, he's off quite a short, but he's off a break, and then as well, Henry de Bramet is a horse in it as well that I actually thought would be a lot better a hurdler than he actually was. The short go. He won last time out over fences as well. He beat a horse of John McConnell's that ran behind Napper's Hill and Unexpected Party over Chepstow. Short go beat her by 2 lengths. She was well beaten out in out in Chepstow. But the short go, he's definitely a big, really big horse. Like he was definitely going to be one that would improve a nice bit for going over fences. And I think Henry is probably keen to cash in on that mark as early as possible. So he's in at its max of 11. So once he's declared, he'll run. So that's an interesting one. And then I know John McConnell is a very nice horse in Intense Approach. He's won a couple of bumpers. He's entered in the maiden hurdle as well. So he's a very nice prospect for him going hurdling. So that'd be a good one. So I think that was the race. The 2 mile race in Wexford on the Sunday was the one in the pocket one last year. So it's probably,
Okay.
the way trainers are, I'd say Henry is probably targeting that with on Tubber, I suppose, or maybe potentially with Mahon's Way, I don't know. But the trainers, they go back to what they're used to, really, don't they?
They do. Yeah, they do. They do. Creatures of habit by and large.
Yeah.
On to Sunday then as well, obviously at Aintree. We have a Veterans Handicap Chase there, which we've given the BHA plenty of credit for.
Their
veterans,
rare credit.
Yeah, rare credit for their programme for older chasers and that. But Goodbye Bobby is entered again, won at Chepstow, beating I Right in dramatic fashion a couple of weeks ago. So it'll be interesting to see if he can follow that up. The Veterans Chase doesn't actually look as hot as the last one did at Chepstow, but nevertheless it's a race to look forward to. I love it myself anyway. And then we also have the Old Rowan Grade 2 Handicap Chase. Tommy's Oscar, Midnight River, Al Dancer all entered, but it's Hitman for me, who I really like here. He's got a nice his nice form in terms of when he's fresh. Nichols is in very good form at the moment too. He was second here in this race last year. The one thing now that put me off slightly is that the horse actually has a poor strike rate himself. I think he's only got 3 wins or 4 wins from 18 starts. He doesn't win as much as he should, and he ends up in the places a lot. But I think you're guaranteed a good run from him, and he's one I'm looking forward to seeing on Sunday.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think he's probably not a grade 1 horse. And that's where, like, he generally runs well in grade 1s. Like, he ran a cracker in the Ryanair, but he just generally finds 1 or 2 too good. Like, you'd be thinking with Nichols that he'd just go around to the grade 2s and grade 3s and just mop those up with Hitman, to be honest. That's what I do. But My Drogo is the one I'd be looking at. Obviously grade 1 winning hurdler, an absolute cracker of a horse. And like he won that grade 1. Like, he only had, I think it was 3 starts over hurdles before he won that day. He was beaten in a bumper by I Am Maximus in Cheltenham years ago when Nicky trained him. So that was the only horse to beat him, really. He fell in the match race against Gin on Lime in November a couple of years ago, and he's only ran once since. That was outrageous, really. Like,
he's off the track almost 2 years though. And
yeah,
I probably should have flagged him up as obviously an interesting one in the race, but he's off the track a long time to be getting involved. I think it'll be interesting to see what the market makes of him.
See what price he is. I can't seem to find any prices here, but it'll be interesting to see what he is. But I'd say if they have him ready, he'll win. It's just a question of I'd say have a look to what Skelton has up on Twitter, and maybe if he's interviewed before the race, and see what he says. But if that horse was ready to rock, he will win. He'll make a mockery of 153. If he comes back the same as what he was,
if he comes back the same,
as well. But he's definitely what he's shown previously before he got hurt. He's definitely a better horse than 153.
Yeah. If it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure there'll probably be plenty of vibes out around in the next day or so too before he runs, and that in quotes from the Skelton yard and that. So it'll be interesting to watch out for them and see what they're expecting. On to Wexford then on Monday, Killian, and it's obviously a bank holiday Monday here in Ireland, and this is actually the best card that we have in Ireland over the next 3 days. The main event on the card is a 3 mile listed chase. It's been won by the likes of Noble Yates and Manella Indo in the past. It's a very good race, and good horses go there. It's a nice starting point for the season for them. 3 horses that stand out that are in it are Field Or, Gentleman's Game, who was obviously second to Easy Game, there at Goran Park over 2 Mile 4 a couple of weeks ago, and Mallore's Mission is also there. Earlier on in the card, Mossy Fen Park, he's a £200,000 winning pointer with Henry de Bromhead. Won on his second point to point by 17 lengths, and now is making his debut over hurdles. So that's over 2 miles. It'll be interesting to see if he's got the speed for that. But certainly a horse to keep an eye out for. And then finally, 2 Mile Beginner's Chase is a very hot beginner's chase based on entries. Now it could fall apart a small bit. You could lose Sander Clegane there, which you suspect we will. But In the Pocket is entered. Quite likely In the Pocket will run there, considering that he started, as you mentioned, at this meeting last year. So he should run. I know the way you're thinking may run, and Heartwood is also there for the Atchisons that they quite like. So it's a nice card.
Oh, it is a nice card, yeah. That beginner's chase, like there's other horses that could run too, like Lucky Max, pretty decent horse for Sean Doyle. Pat Giroux I know he's had a couple of poor runs over hurdles, but he's not completely useless either.
You won't be getting involved there,
Walk with Paul, an epic song as well. A lot of nice horses in it, and like it probably will be. I think if In the Pocket is as good as what people think he will be over fences, like winning point to pointer. So you'd imagine he's going to do the business there, no matter what runs against him. But that the 3 mile listed chase is going to be really good to see what actually runs, if Gentleman's Game goes there, or if he waits for Down Royal maybe. I think Mallore's Mission are definitely running this, and I'd imagine it's hard to know what field or like it's like he was obviously tried over 2 miles last year, and he ended up back hurdling before the end of the year, so they're obviously gone back chasing again. But Seneca, he's up in trip, like fairly up in trip, because he was second to Hercule de Soy over 2 miles the last day. So he finished out that race really well after being ridden cold. So Jorio Machan as well is a decent horse. So it could be a very good race. So yeah, it's definitely a good card at Wexford.
Yeah, Killian, look, that wraps up our first preview show of the year. We kept it nice and brief, which is what the plan was. So I hope you enjoyed listening to it and that. Make sure to tune in. It won't be next Monday because we have a bank holiday here. So our performance rankings show is going to be out Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock instead. So folks, enjoy the weekend. Hopefully have a few winners, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Thank you. Bye-bye.